Lifecycle hooks. Angler creates and destroys the component automatically. Generally, Angler creates the component when it is used within the app component or used in another component. And also destroy the component when the structural directives remove the component from the DOM or a loading page no longer required that component. Angler maintains some set of life cycle hooks in between creation and destruction of the component. Uh, Custom code can be implemented and inserted into the component using these life cycle hooks when the component is created and destructed. Here in this video, we are going to discuss about these life cycle hooks of the component and directive. Angular defines 8 lifecycle hooks for each component. ng on changes, ng on init, ng do check, ng after content init, ng after content checked, ng after view init, ng after view checked, and ng on destroy. ng on changes is useful when the input property is used in the component. ng on init is useful to write some extra initialization logic once the properties and input properties of the component are initialized. ng do check is useful to write some uh, custom change detection logic. ng after content init and ng after content checked are useful when the content child is used within the component. ng after view init and ng after view checked are useful when the view child is defined within the component. About this content child and view child, we have discussed in previous videos. Kindly watch those videos for better understanding. ng on destroy is useful to write some custom code to execute before destroying the component. Here, all these lifecycle hook methods are defined in the interfaces. So, a component class needs to implement that specific interface to use the specific lifecycle hook method. Here, ng on changes is defined in on changes interface. Just removed ng. Okay, so we need to implement on change interface to use ng on changes hook method. In the same way, we can have the if each interface for the each life cycle hook method. Here, implementing this interface is optional. Without implementing these interfaces, also we can use these life cycle hook methods. And all these hook methods are called automatically by the Angular. We cannot call them explicitly, and all these life cycles cycle hooks are called in sequence when those are defined within the component. Here some of the methods are called multiple times and some of the methods are called single time in life cycle of the component. Here ng on init, ng after content init, ng after view init, and ng on destroy are called only single time in the life cycle of the component. Remaining methods will be called each time when the change detection runs. Constructor is not a lifecycle hook in Angular. Generally, this constructor is handled by the JavaScript, not by the Angular. But Angular uses this constructor to inject dependent services into the component so that services can be used within the component. About this dependency injection and services, we will discuss in later videos. Directives generally don't have the template. So the template related lifecycle hooks cannot be applied to directives. Here ng after content init, ng after content checked, ng after view init, ng after view checked are the hook methods are not applicable to the directive. Okay, let us try to understand all these things with simple example program. This is the Angular application which was created by using CLI. To save some time, I have created employee details component. Here, this is the employee details component where it displays some text. Okay, this is the component class of employee details. Okay, now I want to use this within the app component. so that it will be created by the angler automatically. Okay, let me write these life cycle hooks. Okay, here all these hooks are defined in respective interfaces. First, we need to import those interfaces from the Angular core. To save time, I have copied these interfaces. Let me import them from the Angular core package. Okay, we need to implement all these interfaces by the component class. Here it is showing error, so that we need to implement all these methods within this component. Even that also I copied to save time. I have written in sequence. In any order, we can write all these methods, but those will be executed in sequence by Angular. Okay, here I defined just console. I am writing some same method name to the console log. Okay, here I have defined ng on changes, ng on init, ng do check, ng after content init, ng after content check, ng after view init, ng after view check, and ng on destroy. Let us see the output here. Okay, yeah, here it is showing the text which is belongs to the uh, employee details. Here we have written the same method name in console log. We can see that ng on init first it executed, next ng do check, ng after content init, ng after content checked, ng after view init, ng after view checked. We can see it here, ng on destroy and ng on changes are not called, because ng on destroy will be called when the component is destroyed by the Angular. Okay, ng on changes is called when input properties are defined within the component. Here no input property is defined, not defined, so that ng on changes will not be called. Okay, in detail about all these hook methods we will discuss in later videos. This is the way we can use lifecycle hook methods in component, but each one have the different purposes, and those purposes we will discuss in separate videos for each lifecycle hook. Thank you.